See what's going on. We're gonna talk about. I think we'll talk about this NBA game too. What we saw, the takeaways from it, with Shea doing his MVP things. That's what MVPs do. People up here be hating and tripping, but Shea doing the thing. Get into it. So I'm going to talk about it today about Shea Curtis Alexander and OKC. Are they a special NBA team? We're gonna get into it in just a sec. We're gonna talk about it in just a second. We're gonna see what people think. I'm not gonna be here on probably probably like an hour tops. So we're gonna see what's up. We're lively here with that. I'm gonna be on for a little while. I gotta spread the word, so I gotta send everything out. Get everybody involved. Yeah. So let's talk about it. So last night OKC went up 2-0. I think I didn't send out most of the stuff I'm gonna send out. See if people wanna come on, talk it over. What do I think? Shay, people get mad. Well, you can't stop what you can't hit. I mean, he's going to the line, he's putting pressure on you, he's got wheels, he's aggressive, he got a one stop drop. You foul him. I don't know why anybody would say anything about him. I think Doris Burke made some kind of remark. Every superstar done gotten calls. We can sit here all night. We can sit here and moan. We can sit here and pitch a fit. Had to go through it. How you doing? How you doing? Where you coming from today? Thank you for coming on. We've had people do it all the time. This is nothing new. You watch the NBA, you seen, you know, you know. So it's not like, oh, something rare or something new. All superstars have gotten calls, you know. I'm like, I have never seen it any different. Long even watching basketball, everybody got a call that was an MVP, superstar, etc. What is so different about Shea Chris Alexander? He's doing no different than the others. What's happening? How you feeling? What's going on? How are you? Do I like him? I'm not really that fond of. I've never been fond of him, but I respect his hustle as a businessman. But that's it. nothing about him musically because he was musically, he never was much there. But I'm also not dumb. I know that there's a lot of other machine behind him, and he's gonna be the fall guy for something that's even bigger and more demonic. I don't know who you are, so I'm not answering no questions. You come and ask me first of all, like did, and you asking my age and all that. Are you on here as somebody that comes here to have conversation, or are you coming here as a reporter? Because first you have to introduce who you are, and second of all, you have to have conversation, and third of all, I don't know who you are. So therefore, I'm not going to reveal nothing because I don't know who you are. So we come on here in these forums, we have discussions. Anyway, um, Minnesota didn't get any support out of Julius Randle. He got benched the fourth quarter, and Shea outscored four of their guys. It was like 38-36. I counted it up. So I know you're gonna ask me, how did they get up for LA? How did they gear up for Golden State? Well, LA had nothing to stop them with on the perimeter, and they sure as heck couldn't stop them in the low post. And Minnesota better bench, so that wasn't a surprise. LeBron too old, Luka was out of shape, and Austin Reeves got exposed for being really a bench player, fraudulently playing like he's a starter. Rui played good, but they just didn't have no depth. They were out of juice, no defense, no offense. Golden State, once Steph was done, who else was going to be for create points? That was another. Now I'm not gonna sit here and say Minnesota. Minnesota ain't no fraudulent team. They good, and Ant is good, but he's not consistent. But when you get up against a team that can go 7, 8 deep on you, and has an all-star guy who can lead you, and you got guys who play their roles, you're gonna have a hard time winning, and that's what is happening. The Timberwolves are going against a team that can put it on them, and so Minnesota they got to figure it out, or that series could be over pretty quickly. I expect OKC to go to the finals. I think Shea is playing at a high level, and I think that they got a good chance to do things. So we shall see. I will see how this looks. I will be on here for a little while. We'll see how everything goes. But anyway, I wanted to take time to talk about that game. Very impressive for Minnesota. Very impressive for OKC. So they look like they can do something. So we shall see. Anyway, see some people out here today, so feel free to come through. If you got anything to say, come on, come on. I'll be on for a little while today. All right. So anyway, we'll see how long things are. Just here today for a minute. So we got. Starting a long weekend, so depends on where you are in the world. Could be a long weekend for you. We are here today. And we're just kind of getting through everything, so we're gonna see what's up. Mhm. We're definitely in chill mode today. Yeah, and again, that was they looked really good. I think that once they got past Denver, they pretty much feel like, first round they spanked Memphis pretty up. They do what they supposed to do. The Denver series was probably the most challenging one they're gonna have. Obviously, when you play against someone like Jokic and Burnham guys and Gordon, but I think they figuring it out. And no teacher like the best teachers being able to make adjustments, and they are definitely battle tested. And I just think that the guy wins and goes all the way. He got a chance to. Okay, okay. Thanks for posting that. Appreciate somebody coming through. We always have different comments and takes on different things, so this is all good. Okay. Anyway, we got the thing like I was saying. Very impressive. Very impressive. Yeah, very impressive. No doubt. Very much. So yeah, they let me get back to what I was saying about the OKC. Well coached, balanced attack, did a good job with they people don't talk about their defense. They really make good transitional, run the floor real well. Chad Holgram is looking good. I'm telling you, they look like they fit to do the thing. One of the best teams I've seen in recent memory. No one takes them seriously. Treat them like their college team, but those guys really get at it. They are really quick. They're sharp, and they don't waste a lot of time. So I hold them in high regard. Hold them in high regard. So I think they can do something. I definitely think they can win the chip. You know, yeah. They beat Minnesota, and I think it's going to be hard for Minnesota to win four. To win four straight games. I just don't see it. Not this series. This series is not a good one for Minnesota. You ask me what? Why would this be a? Because they gotta beat them on the inside. The other series is they were too big and athletic for Golden State and for the Lakers. But this series here is against a team that covers a lot of bases. So, you know, just think it's a tough series for them. Sometimes you get a series where you're just really in over your head, and that just might be the case in this series. That's not to say they can't come back and make it into a series, but it's a tough series though. So, you know, one of those kind of series is that you just kind of like, Andy Edwards is gonna figure out a way to get through, but it's gonna take some work though. It's definitely gonna take work. And you just don't know, how many games can you squander where you just keep losing and you can't get nothing because you got to figure out a way to get them, and you got to get more productivity out your squad. So tough, easier said than done though. OKC turns you over, makes you pay a certain pace, and you're watching something happen before your eyes. So and it's gonna be interesting what our history says about him. We shall see. Still a lot of basketball left to be played, but I'm gonna tell you something. I think it's gonna be hard for Minnesota to come back. I really do. 68 win team is pretty special, and it's the lowest key 68 win team I've heard. Team I didn't see they got in the Rodney Dangerfield don't get no respect, and they win, but they get no respect. So go figure. But we're just in it kind of there. We just don't know. So that's kind of how I look at it, though. Anyway, I'm gonna probably be on for another 10, 15 minutes. I'm gonna see if anybody comes through. It's another case of being kind of slow. My plan is I like to pretty much take a day off, so I pretty much take tomorrow off unless I get a big buzz. I'll come back on Sunday, so I like to take a day off. This is 5, 6 straight days, so we'll give a day off. Unless, of course, something comes through the news that we have no choice but to talk about it. Interaction's been kind of low key. Mm-hmm. I saw Kid Cudi talking about the Diddy thing. Um, what's up? Thank you for coming on. Timing is everything. I hope you can be on for at least a half hour because you disappeared yesterday. So I hope that you want to talk today because I don't want it to go dry. And the more conversation I have, the better. So let me know how long you want to talk today. Working on some. Tony Montana. Hey. Yeah, Tony Montana. I believe I had this shirt for like 15 plus years. Thank you, man. Thank you. It's kind of because of the weather today. It's pretty low key, so the breeze feels good. Puts me in a pretty good mood. So let's do what's ever on your mind. Let's do it. Yeah, before you talked, I was just talking about Kid Cudi. I saw what he said about Diddy and all that. That's not gonna make a break. Nothing yet. Just strong arm tactics, but nothing. People are just saying stuff. Not really. Not really. I don't see it as a fun matchup because Ant ain't really made a statement. He's still learning on the job. They don't like him. I don't know why. I don't know. I know he's not the most sociablest cat, but he pretty down to earth cat. I mean, he don't, ain't no airs about him, but I don't know. Yeah, it's become racial, and I don't understand why. Cause where's Jokic now? And I've never ever in all my years of watching basketball seen where a big man got more love than a guard. This is strange, but it's also racial too. I'm putting it on that. He played good, but his team didn't win. Where was Julius Randle? Where was Mike? Oh, so I did my video. Shea had 38 points. Four Timberwolves combined for 36. What's good about that? He outscored four of their players by two. They're not in this. They don't have a chance in this series if that is the case. And they're gonna have a hard time stopping Chad Holmgren. They're two Williams. They just don't have. They can't hit what they can't catch. I'm gonna tell you like this. This is how you know the Lakers are overrated. LeBron old, Luka out of shape. They had nobody in the box, and Austin Reeves looked more like a six man than he did a starting three. So Rui aside, that butt could have gotten really dealt with. It could have gotten really blowed out. Then they go against Golden State. Steph Curry aside, they had no other one that could. Kaminga scored good, but Draymond couldn't score, couldn't do much. Jimmy Butler can't give you enough in the tank, and they don't have much after that. So I'm just saying, this is the reality. That's what Minnesota beat. Not saying not taking up from them because getting to the West Conference Finals is special. He got rounds in his career, but he got to do more. You would hear fans say without his Joker, they're not the same team without him. They don't go like he go. He got an engine to him that makes that team go. They not the same without him. Let me put it to you like this: He was at Golden. He was with the Clippers last before he got traded from Charlotte, who has a tendency to get rid of people. Got rid of Kobe and SGA. Anyway, SGA goes to the Clippers. Could you imagine the Clippers with him right now with Kawhi Leonard and James Harden good for a couple of games? Could you imagine SGA with the Clippers and Zubox? Zubox would really benefit the most. Just saying. No, they're not. They would be barely a playing team. I give you that. Not the same. I like Jay Williams and I like Chad Holmgren and them all right, but this guy's got another engine to him. He ain't a he makes that motor go. They trying to downplay him. I don't know why. Did he say something about Caitlin Clark sucking? Did he say LeBron James is overrated and old? I'm trying to figure out what he done said or done why he don't get no love. I know he's not the most personable personality. Yeah, that's not a surprise. KG didn't get deep playoff runs in Minnesota, if you must know. It wasn't until '04 that they got to the Western Conference Finals, and that's the only time they ever did when he was there. Most of the time, they were a first round casualty. So he didn't have a lot of time to camp out in the postseason. Plus, he wasn't a 3-point shooter like that. And the West was a lot deeper back then. And yeah. Well, if you play about 3 or 4 years, and you get a couple of deep runs like he has, you and you shoot the three ball, and you're putting up 30 points. Yeah. Not really. If you watch basketball back then, not really. There's a reason why AKG left Minnesota and went to Boston. Mm-mm. And it wasn't best of seven playoffs either. That only started in the last 20 years. The West was deeper. KG and them got lost to the Lakers two times. You just kind of surprised again. If you saw him play at the back in the day, you wouldn't be surprised. Okay, let's do it. KD, what about him? Of course he start. There's no benching him. Which I'm trying to get where you're going with this. One person. Oh, okay, okay, okay. I'm starting SGA. I'm benching KD and I'm cutting Russ. I'm starting SGA. You can't teach a 68 win team. You can't teach a guy that keeps getting better with each passing year. See, I saw Kevin Garnett. He was great for his time, and he got better with time. But this is a little bit different. And Russ, I had already seen it coming to fruition with the numbers, but he was flat in the playoffs. Didn't see another side of him. SGA looks like I can say a three, look like a title contender. Look like he gonna win a ring. He looked like a bona fide next cat. They might not want to talk about where they got him, but that's how I feel. So that's how I rank it. SGA first, KD, then Russ. I'm more impressed. I like Russ all right, but some of it was stat padding. He didn't utilize Steven Adams like he should. No one has really used Steven Adams like they should. And that team, he could have gotten a lot more what he had. He's always had a good running buddy, someone allowed the ball to score with. Just can't get the job done. SGA plays his position too, so I'm more impressed with SGA doing what Russ didn't do. And as far as KD, as dominant as he was and ball handler as he was, it didn't translate. Harden, that was impressive. Harden in his peak in his prime was must see TV, yo. It's just a shame that in the postseason he disappears like Casper the Friendly Ghost. Because if you had seen Harden in his peak in his prime, if you put that energy into the postseason and he wins a ring, then we're having a good discussion about where he ranks all time. And that's what's the problem with him. It's like he don't even get it. And I ain't talking about your two token games in the 6 game series. I'm talking about his defense is it's not even that. It's just his desire to stand up when it's money time. It's not even that. He just doesn't bring it, you and he doesn't stay tuned in. We could be talking about a real legit all-time great player that would be ranked high. See, because there's no reason why, if his career was even half as good as it was, that him and Kawhi Leonard should be seen as one of the best duos ever. That's something that doesn't get talked about. The missed opportunities with that. He just doesn't do it. He's been playing hero ball for so long that. So, Harden is frustrating forever. But it's just that his drive ain't there. If he bottled a half of the way he played in the regular season, the postseason, he'd won a ring. It get called a travel in the '80s. It get called back a travel in the '90s and the '60s. But you see, when they wanted to bring the Euro ball in, and Adam Silver was all cool with it, and that's what they brought on. And see, this stuff is not just something that it was legalized by the powers that be. You got to run it by what Adam Silver was looking in them beady eyed glasses of his, and they thought it was cool. So I ain't got no problem with it. But I was more impressed that his beard was used as a shield and it was a whistleblower. He used to get more calls than anybody. But I would give him his due. He made his shots. Well, I'd also say Durant's pick and pop shot was unstoppable too. That higher arch because you couldn't touch that. There's a few people that's got shots that were unstoppable. Kareem's hook is still the greatest though. I think the Dirk one-legged fadeaway was sick because he never, he shot the ball heavy and high, and it offset his athleticism lack of whatever he didn't have. It made him look scarier, so it was a big move. Plus, he was pushing 7 feet, so his moves were unstoppable. Oh yeah, he got one of the few statues that's worth it. I give him that. That's one of the few that look good. He deserves it. He deserves it. He put the work in. Look, I go back with Dirk. That was pretty strong. All right. I don't really get into all them statues though, but I understand them. People get carried away with them. So, yeah. Even though it makes it bigger again, because people act like what Shaq did it was so easy because of size. He's the last man to three-peat. I stick with facts over fiction. Shaq is one of the four greatest centers ever to me. I'm gonna get to that in just a second, but let me finish talking about Shaq. If it was so easy to do what he did, how come Curry, Durant, LeBron ain't do it? And no one is dominated like he has since. Curry's probably the most impactful player since Shaq, but he ain't. Again, Shaq's Shaq's type of dominance you ain't gonna ever see again. Jokic ain't got it, and that's what's gonna upset their fans. Okay, let's get to Kobe. We talk about cloning and we talk about copycat syndrome. One of the problems that hurts Kobe's arguments to Jordan is that he emulated, which it takes a lot to do, but that's a lot of brain power. But that's some standard behavior that's almost psychological, psychopathic. It's almost like to get to that point. But he made himself into a great player, no doubt. However, two knocks I got against Kobe, three, maybe four. Shaq was better when they played together. And he needed a big low post presence. He always tried to reduplicate post Shaq with Andrew Bynum, with Gasol, and then with Dwight Howard with mixed results. Oh, Shaq was as great as anybody that's ever played the game in his peak and his prime. I would skip Bayless all the way. I'll take them that 4 or 5 year window. I'll put it up against anybody because you could not stop him. You could not referee him. And if they didn't allow all the acting and the flopping, the man was putting up incredible numbers. You had to triple him. That picture against that picture against the Nets when they all went to go reach at him, you know. But anyway, his peak, his prime, that was dominance. LeBron ain't done that. Steph Curry ain't done that. Not like that. Kevin Durant didn't do that. Not like that. Well, that's because they was trying to get a simpler deal. And he was a little bit older. He was a little bit older. Shaq in his peak in his prime, you would have had to trade half of Miami and Dwayne Wade to do that, make that deal happen. But anyway, back to Kobe. Those knocks. Plus, he had some games where he actually quit. I can never give a man like that a top five pass. He did quit. And I did see him pout and mount. But so has LeBron. So neither one of them are in my top three or four, five for that reason. In different end ways. You will not get in my top three or five. If I watch you pout and mount and you don't play to your best ability and you quit on your team, you're not a top three or four, five player. Neither one of them. Asking me who was more painful to watch do it, I'd probably say Kobe because I know that he could score with the best of them. But he took attitude. He didn't want to hear what Phil Jackson had to say. Coach said he was uncoachable. You're not a top five player in my eyes. But you're great though. But that's why I can't. And I can't put him with no Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan never did the stuff that Kobe did. Kobe actually had games. Remember that Sacramento game in '04? He scored 8 points and he pouted. And someone in the locker room called it out. What's up, Ted? We just talking about Kobe right now. What's happening? How you doing? So he pouted. He pouted and he mouted. I never forgot a couple of that series against Phoenix. He quit on the Lakers. They had the Suns up 3-1. He quit. So he can't. LeBron quit on Cleveland. He powdered him out again for Miami a few years later. Okay, cool. Looking forward to it. When you ask me about these guys, and I'm gonna give it to you 100. Shaq ain't quit on. Shaq got old and got banged up, but that's he didn't quit. Well, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I had that. I told you it was coming. I just had that sitting there. I waited. I done the video. I'm tired of him. And Ryan Clark told the truth. But I try to tell these cats, I don't care who you with, you still black. I'm like, he act like somehow because he didn't got some vanilla fudge that he somehow is exempt. You ain't exempt. You were not a top tier player, and you're not a top tier broadcaster to be spewing off stuff which comes across like you hateful and spiteful, and bringing your wife on to validate when she fools around in 15 years is gonna have you in court because you got caught out there in them streets, and they're gonna see how much she loves you. But anyway, Kobe, those are my other knocks against him. He played hard. He was great, all that, etc., all that. But those are factors. He could have been better had he played team ball. I think Shaq's stepfather, Sergeant Philip Harrison, Daddy said it best. If this guy could see the floor, he'd have been the GOAT. He didn't play in totality. He made a joke when he started having assists. He says, maybe I'm Kobe Johnson. I said, well, if you'd have played like you supposed to, because you played in spite of to appease Phil, and of course, when Shaq, you play like that on the regular, you could have had Derek Fisher, Rick Fox, and them looking scary. Didn't always do that. And it didn't work when him and Lamar on the guard perimeter, him and Meta. They had to get I'm telling you, had to get a big to that's what separates him from Jordan. Jordan won with an influx of sizes and speeds, but he won with him and Scotty in the way they perimeter. Oh, I already said that. I said they're tied for second two guard. I know a lot of people gonna look at me crazy. Well, how can you tie them both? I said because The sum of their parts to me were equal. Wade was a better defender. Kobe was a better offensive player. Wade was a better defensive player. But if you look at what Kobe won 5 rings, 7 finals. D Wade 3 rings, 5 finals. Think about that. There's a gap of two, but if you put the right talent around them, they pretty much even out. So if you give Shaq, they got you that first year they were together, they got hurt against Detroit. That's probably another finals appearance. He had already carried and showed what he could do. He led the league in scoring. He had already showed. And Dwayne Wade, the only thing he don't have on his resume was a token league MVP. He was every bit right there to me. So I'm gonna say it, you know, because he was absent. I'm gonna defend D Wade. He's one of the 25 greatest players ever, and he was huge. He had a better finals run than anything I ever saw Kobe Bryant do, and he still had people shook. And he was the best player in that finals against Dallas. But LeBron couldn't crack 10 against JJ Barrera. He and when they played the Pacers at one, it was all the way up until the second one that he had the respect. He had more respect than LeBron did. LeBron ended up passing him, but Wade had more respect. I could talk about that for days. I'm not boasting or bragging, but if you want me to hear some facts, come here on this podcast. Because I'm going to tell you what I really see, not this hyperbole make believe mess that the ESPN and Fox and some other people put out or they try to downplay. But see, this is the thing. I can understand why David Falk got Kobe over LeBron. Because Kobe did come up big time. And he did have to make that work. And he did stick it out with what he had. And he predominantly was successful with one coach, predominantly for his career. So I understand totality. But again, I got other things why I can understand why people would have Kobe over LeBron. LeBron all around, but then sometimes all around is false and misleading because if he was such an all around force, wouldn't the team be representative of that? He wouldn't stand on toes. He has gotten on too many toes. So that's why neither one of them are in my top five, Kobe or LeBron James. And neither one of them, for my money, is seeing peak and prime Shaq. Neither one of them, is, to my money, is seeing Tim Duncan. Neither one of them, for my money, is seeing Magic or Larry Bird. So that's all I got to say about that matter. But it's a good question. It's good though. Yeah, it's good. I don't really get a chance to really go off on Kobe, because again, I stick to the basketball. Two questions. Well, it's a must win for New York because they lose tonight, they're done. They're not going to the end and win no 3 games. So they better win tonight. But if they lose, I won't lose no sleep. I think they're an overrated team. I think Brunson and Cat are big time. Hurt plays heavy. I like they got some pieces, but they don't have a team that I'm impressed with. The 7 man rotation and Tibbs is gonna wear them out. And Jalen Brunson's still gonna get called for fouls. So if they get any foul trouble, Indiana has got so many weapons that they throw at you. Rick Carlisle is probably the most intriguing coach remaining. And it really is his party. Because he's been there before. He battle tested. They stole a game. And I'm gonna tell you something. They're a hard team. Them and Oklahoma would make a compelling finals because who can throw the more bodies out there? I'm just telling you like I see it. Prime. Well, it depends on what capacity we're talking about. If you're talking about for regular season and stat pattern, I'm taking Melo. But if you're talking about what you can do in the postseason onward, I'm taking Brunson. Because Brunson gives me more than Melo did, even though Melo's a better pure scorer than him. If that makes any sense. Brunson plays hard, punishing. Jalen Brunson is kind of like a basketball version of an Emmett Smith to me. He ain't the most talented. He ain't the fastest. He ain't the strongest, but he you don't outwork him, and he just keeps coming and coming, and he's like an energizer bunny, and he gets his shot, he gets his play. If you give him, unlike the Cowboys though, if he he had a line and he had some other pieces that were there, then it would be crazy. But that's all I'm gonna say about that. But Melo got a better far as pure shots go. It's Melo. So, but they better win tonight. They don't. They cannot afford to go to Indianapolis down. Well, yeah, he's stat pad, and he always looked good until he got old. And I always said he could have been the goat cherry picker there ever was. Well, look at what Brunson's career is. This is second conference finals in his career. Dallas got to Western Conference with him. Melo got to one. Uh, yeah, I don't. It's not illegal. It's like a rugby play. They do that in rugby. And besides, like if a running back doesn't hit the ground, no, I figured it would come on. I'm gonna thank you because I'm gonna use that for a video too. It was never offensive. It's a Philadelphia move. That means just get you some big boys on the front and keep it going. I don't see what the problem is. Philadelphia executed perfection. Sure, bring your lineman over. What's the problem? Well, that's because Dak and y'all ain't got the line that can push it forward. He probably flew around and chip his fingers or something if y'all tried it. Well, y'all ain't got no running game, so nobody's worried about y'all with it. Nah, I ain't got no problem with it. I ain't got no problem with it. I like the way Philadelphia does it too. Jalen is he does it right. I ain't got no problem with it. Cowboy fans is just crying because you ain't got that line no more. When you had Nate Newton and all them guys that you had back in the day, and you could push Troy Aikman all the way 10 yards back then. When you had Larry Williams and you had Nate Newton and them, shoot, you could have pushed them. You could have pushed Troy Aikman to tomorrow with that old line you had back in the day. If y'all had a thought about it. Well, that's not hard. That's not hard. Him and and Whitlock. I mean, that's not hard. You know, Wiley always try to come across like he's part intellectual and part Suge Knight. He's like Michael Eric Dyson meets Suge Knight. I'm like, which one is you, Riley? Because you can't be street all the time and then professor the other time. He do, he do, and then he meows like a cat when Suge walked up on him. I watch his stuff. He had a decent NFL career, and he didn't so in a broke broadcasting career, and he been on 15 different networks, and he get ran out of 14 of them. And he didn't have the. It's like he brags about his education and he tries to use some big words. I'm like, look, man, ain't nobody sweated you. Nobody sweated you. Play for the Bills, play for the Chargers, and the Cowboys too. Think not the Cowboys, but the Chargers. But and it wasn't that memorable. I mean, he was big, athletic, had some moments, but nothing memorable. Got hooked up, you know. And I remember when he would work with Michelle Beatles and all that, and him and Max Kellerman, and he been all in that one. Yeah, I mean, but again, it wasn't that memorable. His name is more memorable than his game was Marcellus. We don't sit around talking about him. His name is more distinctive than his actual game. You know, so he's cornball. He's third tier commentary. And once in a while, he has an okay, interesting topic, but he likes to act like he's coming across with this whole deep, multi-syllabic, like, oh, I got something that's really gonna, like he think he's the professor on Gilligan's Island, like he's the black professor on Gilligan's Island, and he gonna get all deep on you and drop the T and say stuff, and I mean, no one is sweating him like that. Nobody that I know. But anyway, no, I got no problem with the tuck push. If you got the squad and the line, you beat the team, you go across the goal line. It's geared towards that. I think that if I think that if at one time it become problematic for somebody, you just got to tighten up on the line. That's all. More teams are going for it on fourth down these days. More teams are just kind of, they're not doing with the traditional dump and dive with the fullback or the running back. So you just have to have a tough line. That's all. Got to get some meat on your line. Got to get your line tight. Now I don't think the Green Bay thing that wasn't even the thing. I think it was when Brett Favre used to do the fake pass where you go and then do that. That fakery was hilarious. But no, I don't have no problem with it. I mean, NFL is gimmicky, copycat. So yeah, I saw it. Well, yeah, well, she's gonna get hit. I mean, she's not exempt. They do be doing orange is the new black in the WNBA, and somebody will tat her behind up. Yeah, the 49ers have always used the fullback, and they used to use that with the West Coast offense. The whole dop or Ty Rathman used to, Roger Craig, you drop the screen passes. That's what made the 49ers offense so potent. The Ravens, because they always had big backs, they used to feature that. So that makes sense. So, yeah, yeah. Well, again, he's always trying to start something. But again, that's never going to happen again. You already know better than that. Adam Silver's NBA is not for the thugs. He's going to give you a hug, but not for the thugs. You get hugs. You don't get thugs, you get hugs. He don't want that. The little square and the flares that they've had recently were scripted. This pushing SGA is soft. Heck, Caitlin Clark gets hit harder than SGA gets hit, and that's a fact. I mean, it's soft, and they don't want that kind of league no more. You used to could get a cat that would make a 10-year career out of just beating your behind. He ain't no goon. He's a take the G off and add the C. He ain't got no game. You like somebody that acts and cries and moans and has he can't even put up in a whole week his jersey number in a whole week. His jersey number is 23. Well, does he score 23 points in a whole week? No, that's not. I said that's what he is. You drop the G and add a C. I ain't said you said you know. Cause that's what I look at him as. I see him, and they were clowning him for being on Inside the NBA. They hated him on there too. A lot of people were like, nobody don't respect his game. He just got a videotape on Steve Kerr, and he got something on Steph Curry. Cause that's one of the things that hurt them in this last series against Minnesota. He was ineffective. No, so going to your left with your left hand offhand is a smart move. Shooting going with your right, so no. No, I don't think that's what messes her up. I just think that she got to work on more of a shooting style. That in 2016, that with losing Kevin Durant after 2019. Do I need to go on? And his butt was benched in the 2022 finals, so that they came back and won because they had him self checking and he hit a couple of threes and then he ended up coming. He saved his butt. But he got to have some video something on Steph and Kerr in some compromised position or the owner or something because I don't know how he keeps getting hooked up. You know. Yeah, I mean, I just look at him they set him up. They must got something. He must got something on him because I don't look at him as that deep of a player where he would still be getting all his hookup. We both know if he went anywhere else, he might barely have an Isaiah Stewart career right now. That probably would have been the height. he would not have been valuable. To who he wants to be to. Kamingas would beg to differ with you. And Kaminga's coming off scoring 20 plus a game and can't get no run would beg to differ with you. Looney would beg to differ with you too. He's only like that with who he treats as his superstars. If he ain't got no use for you, he gonna look the other way. So I wouldn't quite call him a pushover. He tried to be a player coach. It's a mixed bag. Well, yeah, because Jimmy Johnson said it best. You don't treat everybody the same. You know who your superstars are, except Tomlin got rid of Pinkins, though. He let Antonio Brown get away. He ain't gonna let that happen again. But you don't treat. You just don't. No, it was somebody else who did. They wanted to give it to him, but it was somebody else. I forgot what it was. Yeah, that's why I said it's forgettable too. Yeah, I had done different videos about the Aikman Barry Switzer era. I've had some videos that come out at different times, but I had touched on it. That was a very one-sided affair. Yeah, well, he made him run. He started having to do script runs. Evan Mobley played good, but nobody cared though. And how did that turn out in the postseason? No. Yeah, well, he looked bad last night. He looked like the guy that I had saw why he got traded and people lost interest in him. That's exactly. Well, Barry was just a lucky drunk. I mean, he coached great in college, but the problem with Barry is that he was true privilege, white privilege, with Jerry Jones to get in the hookup because nobody else ever touched him after winning that Super Bowl. And then the Cowboys went mediocre, and then they got rid of him. And he actually made Aikman have to do script runs, make those little scramble runs, and Aikman hated that. That tells you something that you won a Super Bowl with the coach and you just despise him because it was written all over Aikman's face if you watch the highlights. So I never can honestly tell you how good of a coach he was. No one ever talks about him either. They talk about the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl. They never really mention him. So you take that how you want to take it. No, Aikman was done playing because he had too many concussions, man. You were real young when he retired, but he was done. He got too much. He was scrambled eggs. He took some bad hits. I don't think that's why he talks like he talked, but he took some brutal hits, and he was best that he called it a day. It wasn't going to end well, but he had a good voice to translate it to TV. Oh yeah, him and Jerry Jones are like Brady and Kraft. Oh yeah, I think Romo got the better hookup though at the time. Aikman got Monday Night Football and all the other stuff. I think because Romo was a guy that didn't really prove much. He was a really good player, but his was but he was charismatic. Yeah, he took a lot of shots, y'all. You were young when he retired. He started doing a little scrambling, and then he got hit bad. And then when the Cowboys stunk, when they had Dave Campo, yeah, he got out of there. So yeah, it was not good the last couple years of his career. So he wouldn't have been good to nobody. He probably will. He'll stat wise, he'll probably go down as the greatest Cowboy quarterback for our stats go. But we know the reality. We know what's the real. But the stats, yeah. Not to me. Eyeball test tells me no. They both got the same amount of postseason wins, and I think, to be honest with you, I think Dak had a better setup coming in than Romo did. Ezekiel Elliott looked like he was going. He might be one of the five best Cowboy running backs ever, but when he came out, he was going to be top three. He didn't fell off. Romo didn't have that. Dallas had a better defense to work with than what Romo had too. But Dak is just not. Again, if you took his poise and Romo's spontaneity and you mixed it up, you'd have the baddest Cowboy quarterback ever. If you could combine the two, so let's call Dak peanut butter and let's call Romo jelly. Put the two together. What's happening? How you doing? Good to see you. I'm doing all right. How you doing today? Well, yeah, because Romo was fun to watch. Even though I remember that game against the Broncos when he was going toe to toe with Peyton Manning, then he threw that bad interception like he usually does. He always did something that you were like, "Oh, there's Tony Romo being Tony Romo again," and that's what. Of course, my homeboy didn't like Tony Romo, so he used to call him Tony, and you got to put the H in front of them and drop the R. That's what my buddy used to call him. Yeah, Cats I know had some names for people. Oh man, the stuff we used to say. He did. In that game against Denver, him and mate, he was going toe to toe in that game in Dallas. That was a and then that was because that game I think it was like what 50-45. It was a crazy game. And then he threw that bad pick, and then they lost. And we had Jessica Simpson up there in the stand. He was macking too. He was living his best cowboy life. He really was that dude. Knicks gotta win, but the Pacers are like so resilient. But I think the Knicks. But if the Pacers win tonight, it's over. That's all I'm gonna say. And I'm not so sure it might not be over after that game the other night because you it's something about blowing that kind of lead. And I just look at the Pacers. There's something special about them. That against Seattle because I was in near Seattle that time. That was crazy. And then the Dez Bryant catch that wasn't. And just he just always was like short end of the stick. And one of those guys that regular season, because I'm gonna tell you something. Romo is one of those guys that had all the makings of a Hall of Famer. Yep. Because they are playing with house money. You don't have a superstar on the team. You have no expectations. Reggie Miller ain't coming through that door. Paul George ain't coming through that door. Don't you understand what they got? You know, and they find a way. They are resilient. Yep, it's true about Dallas. Um, that's why I think them and OKC would make a great post finals. Yep. I mean, Halliburton is good, you know, and he come up and he got something in his veins. But Rick Carlisle is. I'm telling you, if he goes and runs the table, he will become one of the 10 greatest coaches ever. Because no one saw this coming. But I keep looking at the Pacers and I keep saying that's the most dangerous team I've seen. OKC might be the best team I've seen, but they're the most dangerous team. Why? Because they play like a unity. And I seen Miles Turner and I seen these guys, and they just work well together. Well, at the time, De'Aaron Fox had the offensive juggernaut. He is an offensive machine when he was playing. It's just that it don't really compose the tempo of the team, and he ended up being a head case. But at the time, on talent, you don't know. You don't know. Yeah, because Rick Carlisle, remember 20 years ago, and see if the Pacers were to go and win, they'd be the first team since that '04 Pistons team that I saw that the no superstar that could win it all. And he happened ironically got fired from there, but he's the coach. He's a really good coach. They'd send him somewhere farther though. He wouldn't just keep him in the conference. I like Ball, but is he just a stat patter? Is he gonna be like a Zach Levine? He can play, but that's kind of the feeling I get. He can score, but that's all. Yeah, and that's what's gonna cause Tibbs too, because people get hurt. And how many times you gonna get lucky that Jalen Brunson or somebody get 5 fouls and you come back and make a run? Could be a problem. Yeah, he is more polished, but the problem with Deron is that he's starting to wear himself out though. He ain't looked that good in Sacramento, and he went to San Antonio. We gonna see. That's not Tibbs' work though. Tibbs is stubborn. He's stubborn. He is stubborn. He's not fluky. He's not fluky. He can drive. He forces you. He's Halliburton to me is kind of like a more looser version of Andre Miller. If you remember Andre Miller, that's how Halliburton kind of remind me of, but a more looser version. Because Andre Miller could put you to sleep with the way he dribbled, but he can control the pace. Halliburton reminds me of him, but like looser. And he will have those games where he can go off. Y'all, you saw what was it? His sister or his girl that hugged him at the end came out. That cracked me up. Media and fans started commenting because Mike Malone trying to get a job, and he really is ticked how he got fired. No, I just said that's who he kind of remind me of. I didn't say. I said that's kind of like a better, like a more looser version of Andre. That's all I'm saying. But the same type of way he would dictate tempo, that's who he put me in the frame of mind of. Yeah, Mike Malone, you know, he trying to get a job. He will. Yeah, I didn't do a video about it. I'm not the biggest. I wasn't the biggest Robert Ursay fan. So some of the mess he said something about somebody black. Some mess he said. I never really. You know, I just thought the guy was kind of off, and I didn't like how they did Peyton Manning and then the Andrew Luck thing. That's probably what they want. That's that imagery. I don't know. I ain't seen them. That's why I didn't touch him. I just choose to remember how I remember him. I remember when he was trying to go to Mexico with that passport and that fake mustache or some mess. Some mess he was involved in. Had some prescription drugs. I don't know. There was something that went on with him. I never touched him though. Yeah, I don't. It's R.I.P. But I didn't really sweat him though. So sometimes if you ain't got nothing nice to say, just keep your lips zipped. So I didn't really much touch him. I leave that to others though. I don't know. I don't know. I can't say that. I don't know. See, me and Al Davis didn't end well either because of that whole thing with Marcus Allen. So I'm kind of side eye on him. Rooney, well, they did hire Tomlin, but Joe Gibbon was the better quarterback when Bradshaw was there. So I don't really get into it. I mean, I don't put nothing. I gotta need some signification. So maybe you know more than I do. Yeah, but he got to do what he wanted to do. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Yeah, well, yeah. Marcus Allen got, and Howie Long to this day, his high top kind of fades off when they talk about Marcus Allen, how he was in Al Davis's doghouse. And that's the thing that turned me off with the Raiders. I never looked at them the same again. Bo Jackson was great and all that, but they pushed Marcus out the door. And I just didn't like how that went down. So, yeah, Ursay was into some stuff. Most of them owners do be into stuff. They just don't talk about it because they be living wild. They be wilding. All that money, all them women, all that. Marcus was one of my favorite players. He reminded me of a junior version of OJ, and I liked his, the motions, etc. He went to SC and all that. But that the way it went down. Oh, it was marketing, but it's the way he did them cold too. Yeah, there's some truth to that. And Bo was, and he could have utilized both of them. Should have. To answer your question, yes, easily. Buddy of mine, we used to talk about that all the time because you could line up AH in the backfield. He was more versatile. He had better speed. Oh, this is a toughie for me, but I'm gonna take Tony D. I love Marcus, but no one had more style and grace running down the sidelines than Tony Dorsett. Tony was like, watch, it was poetic. That 99-yard run to this day, that dude ran them lines and just was like, it was just like watching a ballet dancer, like it was smooth. And I like Marcus a whole lot, but Tony Dorsett got held back. He got held back, a star back, and he also spoke out about Tom Landry. Dorsett was a bad boy, looking like Flip Wilson. He was a bad boy, and I love Marcus too because Marcus was one of my favorites. But Tony D was something else. If I had to pick out the two, I'm taking TD. Oh yeah. If you gave Tony Dorsett Emmett Smith's offensive line, he'd have had 20,000 plus because he had Ron Springs and Robert Newhouse as fullbacks. Emmett Smith had the Moose. Big difference. Terrell Davis for me because he changed the fortunes of Denver. Elway, as great as Elway was, they don't win without Terrell Davis. And Marshall Falk was bad. He was bad, but it's a different type of bad. But TD, for his fitting the team, that was a difference maker. Um, that's all you need. And they won two chips. Marshall is like a cheat code. Marshall is one of those guys that it's a special category. Okay, let me address this about Landry. He basically said Landry was a good old boy, and he didn't give him a chance to really shine because Dorsett had a lot of yards. And if you watch the old highlights, you know what I mean. Tony D was a bad dude, yo, and great to watch run. Oh, Osborne. Osborne. That was a bad coach. I like him better than I did Urban. Urban did great, but I gotta give to Osborne. Yeah, but so would Roger Craig too. Well, I remember something, right? I used to get Dallas Cowboy Weekly back in the day. Landry was an old school cat, okay? Old school cat. He didn't like a lot of show and glow. He liked certain type of people to be formulated. And Dorsett was not that kind of cat. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of politics going on. Yep. And when they became America's team and the star and the logo and the routine, the cheerleaders, the whole thing, he was pretty much a stuffed hot dog with no mustard on it. So it was all like that. Yeah, I just went with Tom Osborne because Nebraska played big time games. Urban Meyer did great, but Tom Osborne was the truth though. Yeah, Jamal Charles for his run, he had a good run. Drew Pearson paid the price. They didn't let him into the Hall of Fame for like 60 years later. So I mean, and they be funny about their receivers. Mm-hmm. Retired jerseys act all funny. Yeah, well, there's a few guys like that. Him, Christian Okoye. There's a few cats. Earl Campbell too. You know, because you had like certain type of injuries back then you didn't come back from. There's quite a few cats like that I could say that about. Dorset's gonna be number one. Emmett's gonna be number two. Zeke three and Herschel four. And I'm gonna tell you why I rank him like that. Dorsett was my favorite Cowboys running back. If Bob Hayes had played longer and done more, I would have said that. Emmett because he was endured, no one outworked him. Herschel, had he been played right, would have been better than all of them. Because all around skill set, it's just that he got there and he just, he was older. Zeke should have been a top three. They're the two most frustrating. Yeah, he did. Andy Reid is one of the greatest offensive minded coaches. Yes, true about Earl. Sterling. Talking about Sterling Sharp. Oh, Donald Sterling. Oh yeah, Donald Sterling. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I did see that. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I did see that. Oh, that's old. Donald Sterling is no different than Jerry Jones. Look at him like a meat market because he be liking stuff. He's like a Diddy party. That's the part that we don't talk about because the NBA. I'm telling you, these owners look at you like it's a plantation. I didn't already talk about it. Tell you, Dwayne Wade and Colin Kaepernick said the same exact thing about when they have draft day, how they look at you like it's a plantation auction. No lies told. They look at you from head to toe because you got to fit in the weight scale, body fat, all that. Well, that don't mean that they don't be sizing you up. And also they checking out them cats to make sure they ain't messing with their daughters or their wives. But that's another story, another video. You know. Now they all look alike. Yeah, you can't tell. They all look alike. He pays who he thinks is worthy. The only time I know he had to come out of pocket for Emmett Smith, and that pained him. I remember that. That pained him to have to come out of pocket. Hey, how you doing? Well, glad that you're here. Glad to have you. Say good to see you, Charlene. That's how it always is, though. That's how it works. Yeah, what happened was uh that Jimmy Fox was at because Jimmy Fox is from Plano, Texas. Big Cowboy fan. Sat there with him, and they were in the summer workouts, and yep, he was surprised at it. I remember that because the Bills beat them, and Robert Lassiter, who's an obscure name, Ronald Lassiter was the backup running back, and the Bills won the game. They stopped Dallas near the goal line, 13-10. And Jerry Jones was crying. He's like, "I go to," and they pulled the check out his coat pocket because Ronald Lassiter wasn't getting the job done. And Jimmy Johnson was messing up his own hair. He about ready to cut his hair off if he was stuck with that cat and he couldn't get who he wanted. And that's what ended up happening. I remember. Ronald Lassiter was their running back. And they lost to the Bills in Dallas that game. So I remember. But anyway, that's what they be doing. Yeah, he was like I said before. Yeah, not too people outworked him. He wasn't the most talented, the most gifted, but he played hard and he would give you pain. And he always came up big. Yeah, he don't always want to pay. Oh, I know. His reputation predates him. He's cheap and stingy, but he hooks up people with other positions too. Don't get it twisted. He hooked up Michael Irvin post career. He hooks up. He has cats in place for certain things. You No, well, that tend up saving his behind because if he doesn't have Dak, he's stuck with what? They don't have nothing. But Dak's an opportunist, so it makes sense. Dak is almost like the black version of Jerry. Talks a good game, short on delivery, but long on hype. I don't even think Jerry cares about winning no per se, because I just think that he's got the name and he's so happy and he can manipulate these coaches he gets and he can pull strings. I don't even think he even cares at this stage. But if he ever did get to another Super Bowl and won, I'd say retire and call it a day, because you know how tough it is. Well, it was a very big thing because the quarterback and Ezekiel looked like a 1-2 punch. And Dak played his best ball because he had fire on his behind, because he knew that A, he wasn't supposed to take over for Romo, and B, Jerry Jones ain't feeling brothers like that, but he did. Yeah. Oh yeah. Jerry's one of those cats that low key be watching out for cats, especially if you know he ain't gonna do it publicly, but you know low key. Not just to Jerry, but just in general, because when I watch him on TV, everything feels like he just shuffling. And the whole thing with his son was embarrassing because his son's trying to act like Ti's son. The cats ain't them cats benefited from their daddies having money. Not no more. They're not. Not no more. They're not. They were. There's nothing fake about them because they're not that good. They just no. I mean no, because this past year puts that to shame. Stephen A. Smith and them stopped clowning them after week 7. They were losing and they were so far behind. The luster was off. You just wanted to see what Michael Parsons' podcast was going to be about. That's all. That's all they had left. Be right back. Hold it. Hold it. All right, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Had to make a pit stop. Should NBA have their own Hall of Fame? That's a great question. Um, if they do, then what do they do about the ABA? They're connected with college, which is their plantation. So what do they do? It's a good question, but if they were to do that, then they have to reconfigure with how they would legislate the numbers. So I don't think they will ever do that. But I think it's a good question, though. That's a real good question. That's a real good question. Don't move. Give me 2 minutes. I gotta do something real quick. Give me 2 minutes. Don't move. Don't move. I am back. I'm sorry for that. Had to go make a move. I'm back. Words trading Jimmy and Kamingas. If y'all still there, let me give me a one if you still. I'm gonna address all this because I had to make a step. Let me do this. Um, Jimmy and Kamingas. I can see that they can get a lot for that. They won't match it. He was. Okay, sorry about that. I had to go to the bath. I'm good now. Um, yeah, he doesn't like younger players, and Kamingas doesn't fit. And Kamingas, I heard that Pat Riley's looking at him. That's what I've been saying. That's what's up, Tom. How you doing? If I'm going to state, that's the only person I'm going after is Giannis. Oh, so you can hear me better now? Give me a one if you see you can hear me better. If that's what you're saying, Jay, will give me a one. Sometimes it just comes down to the structure of the phone. But give me a one if you can hear me better. Okay, thank you. Okay, well it's cool. I mean, it's all right. We good now. We understand it. Sometimes I do have some receptions, but most of the time stuff is good. Yeah, if I'm going to state, he's the only person I want. The only one. Because if you have Giannis, no, they don't. That was embarrassing throwing that stuff at that man. If you have a Giannis, then Draymond comes off the bench, and then GP, then you can work with him and Curry. That's gonna buy Steph 2 or 3 years. But ain't nothing else out there because Giannis would be a better fit for Curry than even Jokic would be. Even though that'd be a scary duo, but I think that Curry and Giannis would be. No, Nick fans. That's why I hope they kind of hope they lose too. They was disrespectful to that man. That was just tacky turkey move. They don't deserve to win. But and you saw what the Yankee fans did to Mookie Betts in that whole World Series. That was embarrassing. And what a game he got to watch. What a game he got to see. That was karma. I don't care who their fans are. They horrible. And just because I root for a team does that mean I condone their fan base. And the Yankees have some of the worst fans. New York sports fans are some of the worst I've seen. Philadelphia are too. Some of these sports fans think they're entitled to act any old kind of way and do whatever they want to do and be belligerent and act all hostile and rude and mean. And they don't have any more rights than anybody else does. So I don't like it and I don't condone it. Yeah, that's why they don't win nothing. And as a Yankee fan, I'm gonna tell you straight up, you ain't beating the Dodgers. But you just better hope that you better be glad that you ain't stuck with that Juan Soto situation. Ugh. Mr. Soto's struggling right now, and the Mets don't look so good. So just saying. But I don't like bad behavior from fans. I don't. And when you ain't won nothing like 16, 80 years, you ain't got no time to be acting all rude and funny. You should be just happy. And I will applaud anybody that's a Pacer fan because they've suffered a long time. I mean, They've been to one finals in what 25 years, and they, had some good players. They've been to more Eastern Conference Championship, but going to the show. Yep, yeah, he's struggling, and I can't stand the sad of it because the guy was listen. He had two ideal. He had the ideal situation. They gave him a cheer the first time. He was ideal with Washington and with San Diego, and he did good for the Yankees. I understand why he left because I mean the Yankees don't look like a team that you necessarily think that's gonna rock it deep, and I get that. But now you go play for the Mets, you better because they're gearing up to try to take the Dodgers out. You know, well to be fair, you don't. They're not gonna really say much to you because they're gonna think it's Halloween season when they see you. So New York fans ain't gonna really say nothing because, well, unless you come to Buffalo. But anyway, and you ain't got to worry about nothing with the Jets and the Giants because they're not trying to. They got nothing. Eagle fans just probably think you crazy, but they're not gonna mess with you. I don't really get into who's steroid or not. First of all, if you're a great player, you're a great player. So I don't put that in no connotation. I knows nothing because I'm gonna tell you like this. I seen all the guys that were so allegedly into the steroids were great hitters prior. So I don't even dignify that. If you're great, you're great. I don't even dignify that because without those guys in baseball, they wouldn't have baseball now. Well, see, your family fooled around and messed up your career, and you had a really cool career too. I liked him with the. I don't know why he left the Padres. I don't know why. And if I was going to really do something, I probably would have gone to the Dodgers. Tell him, Ted. Tell him. Tell him. Look, I saw Mark McGuire when he was a puppy hitting moon shots off of Randy Johnson. It probably would have actually saved his career. As great as he was injury prone a whole lot. And Lupinelli used to tell him to stretch out. He didn't take care of his body. He was one of the most naturalist players I ever saw. So maybe if he had took something, maybe his legs, maybe his body wouldn't have gave out. Because we don't talk about that Cincinnati Reds, Chicago White Sox era of him. Now, do we? We treat that like the Emmett Smith Cardinals, Deion Sanders Washington, and Michael Jordan Wizards. We don't talk about that. Or in the Shaq in Boston, Cleveland. We don't talk. We don't talk about that. Or D Wade and the Bulls. Man, it was great. Man, it could hit. I think too many times people romanticize something and they somehow think you become bionic. But what about the fact these cats already hit 5 or 6 years where they're already great players? So when people say that talk, they better find a way to back that walk because these guys were great. Yeah, he was eating cookies at the end, but the thing about it, he was injured and he went to situations where they were not successful. Cincinnati and Chicago was not successful. So, you know, he was, and he had charisma. He just was a goofball. He just didn't, utilize all he had. That dude was bad. I still remember that home run in Toronto in the playoffs. He hit that ball so high the cameraman lost it. I mean, that was one of the few that I saw. I mean, he was something else. Oh yeah, Vlad was a bad dude, senior and junior. Yep. But I don't get into about no rods. This you either were a great player or you weren't. You know, there's some guys who were 1 year wonders, Brady Anderson. Some of them guys like that who hit a lot. Brett Boone. I can name some guys who had them 1 year, 2 year wonders. But then when guys had like 5 and 6, 7 years of careers, it's more than just some juice. They were the juice. They were legit. There's a difference. Tomei, the man that took like forever and a day to come to the to bat, because he would not make it today. He took all that time, put his batting gloves on, and mess his helmet and all that cadence he would do, but he could hit though. He looked like somebody. He looked like he should have been playing with Lou Gehrig and Ruth were playing, but he could hit that thing. He a bad dude. I used to watch him. I used to crack up. There's no way in the world he'd play today. They take 30 seconds, so he take about 29 by the time he ready. One of those guys that should have been bigger than he was. Could have been like a Dave Parker type for his generation. I think he had that kind of. He was like the closest thing almost to the Cobra to me. Strong, bulk, all that. It just that I don't. I just don't think he just. It didn't quite all the way come out. Could have gotten. I thought he could have been bigger. I thought him and Jimmy Rollins could have been like an incredible tag team. Yeah, but see, baseball's a little bit different though. We don't look at baseball like we do in other sports because a 4 year window and a peak injuries and just and I think sometimes just the depth, they just didn't really, and they didn't dominate like they should have. They had a legit team. They was only them and the Dodgers in the National League for a while, and they got to two World Series, won one, lost one. Could have had more situation. So that was a squad that should have probably won two rings and probably would have went to about three or four World Series. See, that doesn't work in baseball. Baseball is just different like that. NBA, you can almost pencil in you going to a finals or two. Yeah, Bria was nice too. So it's different in baseball. Yep. Cole Hammer went on to pitch good. Cliff Lee. Yep. So but it's different. Rory Holiday went to the Blue Jay. Yep. It's just different. Baseball's a different animal. Baseball, you might get one ring and you go there for 3 or 4 years. Don't let this Dodger run fool you. It's tough. Or the Astros run for that matter. Yeah. Ironically, the Yankees won their ring with Joe Girardi, who ended up coaching the Phillies, but he was so average, got his butt ran out. Mm-hmm. That's a great debate. Great debate. If it's regular season, I'm taking Maddox, but if it's money, I'm taking Pedro because that's really the difference between the two. Depends on what side of the coin you want. But if I had to take it for the career, the trajectory, uh, just a slight nod to Maddox because he was like the lawyer who just he looked like a lawyer, but he beat you in so many ways. He came out so clutch, and he does got a ring. So Maddox in a blowout because it was harder with Maddox and Pedro. Randy Johnson was great stat wise, strikeout wise, but he had a lot of other factors working for him. Maddox really did take it upon himself to be that dude. And I like Randy Johnson better in different intervals. Maddox moved me more. But Randy was bad though. People forget about that year in Houston he had. An incredible year in Houston. He did. Big, long, lean. That dude looked like the second coming of Bob Gibson, Satchel Paige, and what Gerald Richards wasn't able to do. He was scary, and he had the kind of it that Griffey Jr. had. I think his underrated skill was probably posting. He really learned how to use his body where he could go deep. Oh, you Doc in his prime? Doc in his prime? Yeah. 25 and 3 is a rookie. Come on now. When he came out, he was a beast. Him and Strawberry were looking like they were going to be a dynamic duo. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Doc was something else. Man, look. If you ain't get to see Doc in his prime, Doc was bad. Now, no, Jordan could post you up really well. I got to think about other point guards come to mind. I liked it when he would utilize the box, but no, he ain't. No, heck no, because Magic could wear you down. Gary didn't wear you down. Gary knew how to post, but to say that, and he only averaged like what? Did he average more points than Magic for a career? When Magic could have averaged more than him. So think about that for a moment. Let me flip that to you. Magic could have averaged 20 25 points. Gary Payton at tops was 18 to 20. So if a guy can do what he want, he can own the post up game whenever he want. I can't say it about Gary Payton. It didn't work against the Pistons. He didn't do it against Chauncey. He back you down, but he was best with that bank shot and then that little fade he would do. Not only that, but Magic knew how to utilize his body though. The only thing I give Gary over Magic is defense. That's it. There was nothing else that he was in the same universe as the Magic Johnson. Magic Show could get some, you know. Oh, that's easy. That's Durant. Come on now. I like James Worthy a lot, but he didn't he didn't have the depth that Durant had. He didn't get to play in a situation like that. Durant's I was too, especially with Shaq and all that. Gary was tough. I like Gary a lot. I like Gary a lot. Yeah, it's Durant, better pure scorer. Worthy was bad, but Worthy will never know. You know, I don't know about that because he's not better than John Stockton. You're never gonna get me to say that mess. Stockton was better pure, just the way he saw the court, top of the key, the way he let set you up. Mm, I'm not the biggest J. Will fan. He didn't say some crazy dumb stuff. I saw him on was that show where he was trying to say about Jordan and the didn't have no one to defend it. He tried to talk. Nah, Stockton was fundamentally better suited than Kerry Payton was. Fundamentally, Stockton was like put you on a string too. You who's still salty? Oh, you talking about white chocolate? I don't know. This is a thing. No, he wasn't a better defender because Stockton had more steals. Stockton created more opportunities. Scoring, I'll give you. Jay Will is just all. Jay Will's trying hard to act like he wants to fit in. And the problem is, even clutch sports won't touch him because he's too corny and desperate and thirsty. Nobody wants to see him because he was a Look, I liked him when he played for fun. He had that move against Gary, which I'll never forget. That doesn't make him better than John Stockton. Doesn't make him better. John Stockton could have probably played to 2005. He was fundamentally better sound the way he carried himself. I like Gary, but I didn't look at him like I do Stockton. Most people don't either. Not by me, he ain't. He just seems like he's what's that? Malibu's Most Wanted, like that. Is it Jamie Kennedy? That's what he remind me of. It's like some gimmick after a while, cause he do doing too much. Mike Bibby was better for Sacramento because Rick Alderman got rid of Jay Will for his antics. So he spent too much time trying to impress somebody on the front row. Yep, and Bobby Jackson too. Yeah, because it was too gimmicky when they lost to the Lakers in that best of three, five. Well, not only this, he just didn't have the game. We're not even gonna talk about him his lack of tact and what he didn't have the game. He was a third tier dude who was trying to conjure up some Pistol Pete. And I used to have white folk cats coming to me talking about, you can have Al Iverson. We got we got white chocolate. I'm like, okay, let's see how that turns out. Let's see how that turns out. That's what I used to tell him. Let's see how that turned out. We saw how it turned out. People don't even talk about his ring in Miami. He was like I'm not gonna say a flash in the pan, but he had some good passes. He had some moves. But what else did he have? Yeah, oh yeah, they came at me. Oh yeah, I had to hear that mess back. It was at 99. Oh, I forgot where I was out. Oh yeah, when he was throwing them balls behind Weber and all that, they was oh yeah. They said you can have your Iverson. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I said let's see how that turns out. They had Bobby Jackson, who was probably more scarier. Jared Wallace was alright. He was athletic, but he, his game was kind of just. Yeah. Corliss Williamson. He used to wear the shower cap. I remember Corliss from Arkansas. Turk was on the team. That's before he got juiced up. Now, we want to talk about some juice when he played with Orlando. Because I remember when he was in the finals against the Lakers, and I was looking at him like, oh, he's swole and he balling. Come to find out, because he was playing out his mind. He played a whole lot better in Orlando than I remember in Sacramento. He had the jumps in him too. I was like, okay, now it makes sense. Oh turkey, turkey, because he was just playing behind so many. Oh, he was. They found out. You can look it up on Google. I think he got suspended or something. Yeah, she had more fight against the Lakers than they did. That was hilarious. Rick Fox trying to play like he tough. I said, look, save your image and your vibe for the big screen. Don't. You know, had to be in that Tyler Perry movie. Don't mess up what you look like fighting Doug Christie. You about ready to get a two piece in the lock. That was hilarious. I don't pay her no mind. And she acting like Doug Christie was like a top tier player and like he had all these women like lined up. I must have missed something because I didn't see all that. I must have missed. I didn't catch it. But he must have had a lot of women hollering. I don't know. She sure they don't trust him. That's why. NBA groupies is real. There was this woman named Robin Powers. She was in Prince's Graffiti Bridge movie, and she was a big old tall girl. And she was in that Ice Cube video for It Was a Good Day. She's the one that he says put her butt to sleep. She was the one with the curly hair, so she used to mess with Prince. And she was actually they talked a long time ago. She used to check the papers to check the NBA players because she used to mess with Prince. He said she was looking at Dave Robinson. So the groupies are real in the NBA. It's real. Yeah, I don't know. Would have put a wig on his head. I don't know. I don't look at Doug Christie like neither one of them, but no, that ain't gonna happen because he got groupies. Shoot, don't trust them women. That's what's up. I don't know what kind of game Doug Christie be spitting out there because I don't know. Doug must be got some pimp game. She still don't trust you after all these years. Well, you remember that's what Andre Karolinko, his wife, gave him a pass. His name was never the same. He comes across like a chump, but he be macking though. I told you the story about in New York when he coached the Knicks. They said Tim Hardaway Jr. was scared because he was macking on his girlfriend. Stole up. He's up there drawing plays. He was actually drawing lines. So, but meet me here. We gonna lose by 30, but meet me here at the end of the game. That's what he was doing. That's why his team sucked. He was macking. Oh yeah, I heard about him for a long time though. Yeah, meaty dude, but it's like a tweener guard because he shot the three ball and he was not particularly fast, but he was athletic enough. But it worked. He fit the triangle perfectly. Of course she wrong, but she liked the attention because they all 304s. In case you don't know, long story short, it's all 304 code. It's all 304s. They that's all it is 304. That's all it ever is. That's why Doug Christie's wife beat all them games. You know, you can't be married to no NBA player. That's like being married to a singer or a rapper. Everybody all in it. Mhm. And if you don't know what you're doing, it can be like a Diddy party. I kid you not. It's wild. Yep. I told you it's all spread around. Giovanni. Giovanni. Mm-hmm. Giovanni. Mm-hmm. That's what you get. That's what they be happening. I saw that mess. I might do a video. I might not. I say he sure wants to herp and run down the aisle. Don't get that girl pregnant though. Then he really gonna be a mess up for him though. His whole situation is messy though. So I don't know. I think I saw something about that. She gonna get that wheel. Take half his money too. Yeah, these cats end up sharing all the same. Don't worry, there's gonna be somebody on that North Carolina team that'll close the deal. Don't you worry. She got Bill out here getting them blue pills bad. Brady ain't gonna never come out and say it because he likes to play like he company man, but he got to be clowning. He got to be mad cheesing. Robert Kraft is too. He said, "Look at that dummy." They clowning him. Eagle got the best of him. Mhm. So yesterday, Ted, you weren't here. Um, there's a story that Keyshawn Johnson. I don't know if you got to see it or not when he played with the Jets, and Belichick was on the sideline, and they were playing against, I think it's Atlanta, Cleveland, one of the teams. Anyway, the story goes that Keyshawn was talking about the other day. He said that they threw a touchdown pass, and Parcells told Keyshawn to go in to play safety, and Belichick said no, no, no. So touchdown happened. The next thing happened. Belichick, well, Parcells told Belichick, "See, that's why you got fired from Cleveland for doing that dumb stuff." He checked him, and Keyshawn's head snapped like, and so next thing you know, Keyshawn was in there and got an interception. And they won the game. So Parcells and Belichick had words on the sideline. He mentioned that on one of them shows. Well, the truth is high school locker rooms is like everywhere. Cats do the same stuff. Yeah, Keisha, it's on whatever that old corny show that he's on. He was telling that story. It was on them video clips came to me in my thing that he said that Parcells checked Belichick about, you know, he said that's why you got fired from. And I said that sounds like Parcells too. That sounds like him because he said you too arrogant. He said you just think you know. Yep, he went in on him. So I thought, mm-hmm. See, Parcells be looking like he's playing chess, like he's studying. He ready to chew you out. Belichick just think he's smartest, and he's like, "You dummy, you peasant." You know how he got that dumb look, got that old smart aleck look on his face. But when this chick cleans his pockets, never mind, never mind, never mind. They knew, but you know what? Money talk. You look the other way with Money Green. She smelled it. You know, if you had a mother and she had a good nose, she could smell some stench. But that money talk. Oh, Belichick is a freak. That's no surprise. That ex girlfriend, he's like she was passed around like she was in the running life in the she was in her 30s and 40s. He doesn't have any tact. He plays like he's pompous and deep. He really ain't. They knew about it. They chalked it up to like a boys will be boys, and they made it into a joke. That's what happens. Oh, they always do. They always do. They always do. Cause cats be at the local bars and do something, and you know, Belichick always got some stories, and you know he was funny time with a lot of people. So, but when that whole thing happened with Mac Jones and all that, then you know his facade came out. Now he don't want no social like trying to climb up. He did that already. Was his ex-wife? I don't think he would do that again. And at least in Brady's case, Giselle had her own money. This young gold digger guy got something, but this seems like it was mail order or OnlyFans or something. It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out. They're trying to give Bill a. This is also a PR campaign. In case you don't know, this is I want to come back and coach in the NFL again because I've been misconstrued. I was considered Mr. Scrooge. I didn't have to live in Ohio. I saw with my own eyes with him drunk, talking crazy. Don't have to live there. See, I tell people all the time, a lot of the best stories I ever heard, there was no internet. And we just happen to have stuff that just kind of grew like the grass. And nobody messed with Urban Meyer because he plays the political game. I saw that yesterday. Still doesn't make that Diddy Rico. You know, I think it's gonna backfire because Cassie was trying to play them both against each other. She just used the scene. They'll get Diddy for something, but the Rico thing, no. Well, I got stories about Seattle. I got stories about Buffalo. You know, well, the thing is this: if you watch the teams and you watch the way certain things goes, it ain't hard to see how it goes. I had stories about Dallas, different places. Hmm. There used to be people used to, do a little T little thing, and then you kind of observe. The Seattle stuff was crazy because I knew, well, yeah, because I lived or grew up in Buffalo, but I heard old stories. Like I heard old OJ stories, Bruce Smith stuff. Jim Kelly was wild, and Jim Kelly used to be a wild cat. Lynch, the thing about Marshawn is that he got messed with racially profiled by 5-0. They used to mess with him every time he leave the stadium. That was one of the reasons why he left. And he didn't really vibe in Buffalo. He would have made it okay, but he a West Coast cat. His life was on the West Coast. He very Oaktown. I saw that movie. If you saw that movie, he just as Oakland as Gary Payton is Oakland. Low key, but had his share though. But low key. Bruce Smith dealt with all kinds of things. But Jim Kelly was a freaky deaky. He lived up as the quarterback. Mhm. He was living his best life. Low key, drunk though, and party, but low key though. Nothing too much out the ordinary with him. Yeah, drinking was pretty known. But Jim Kelly was the one that had the wild though. Jim Kelly was wild. And the old Bills got down, of course. OJ was legendary. Mm. I think I shared with you because my father used to have access to that a long time ago. The story I heard about OJ is that Ralph Wilson, he used to own the Bills, told OJ, don't get caught in the black section of Buffalo. That was told because he was crossed over. And they didn't look at Juices. They wanted him to be more on the upper side. Oh, well, the Big Ben stories about being naked on that girl's couch, like something that Will Ferrell, like old school. That was the one. He was frat boy. Because the girl came out the bathroom. He said, "Here I am." He was a mess, yo. And then we talk about the motorcycle accident because that was team rules. You're not supposed to during the season. And he hurt him. He did a whole lot of frat boy stuff. Yeah, he was wild. My cousin lived in Tennessee. You heard about the Peyton Manning thing? Was it the nurse? Was it he was doing a physical and he dropped his pants and said, "Here it is," something like that with him. Eli had that drinking thing in Mississippi. He was drunk, something. They all had some stuff with them. Hmm. Thing about it though is again PR. Oh yeah, but see, he plays like he's the most Christian, like all safe and sound when I see him, and he was all opposed to taking a knee and Mr. Patriotic and all that mess. He's so fake. My buddies used to call him Grapey Burger, Grapey, because you know what that means. But you know how we got to be careful what we say on these channels. Grapey, grapey grapes, grapes, grape burger. Mm-hmm. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. Cause if you had Heinz, you had better heart. You ain't lying. And even when the Patriots were running things, because he was the link between Brady and Manning. But he's drunk behind. He's always something. Oh yeah, we had names for him. That was how he was known. Mm. He should run for He should run for politics. He did it. That's what I'm saying. But he he would just run. He would just he got into that groove of throwing bad picks, and he was frustrating. Yeah, because I think for my mind right now, I got him over Bradshaw. He went to three Super Bowls and he won two. He was the best quarterback they ever had in their history that won. So that ain't up for discussion. But he could have won more. So yeah, we had nicknames for all them cats though. But yeah, sometimes if you just following stuff, you hear stuff. You know, I used to hear stuff about the 49ers. You know, Montana had like three or four wives. Stuff was wild. Yeah, well, he played like he was drunk in that Super Bowl against Seattle. He looked horrible in that Super Bowl. I think Randall L threw the best pass in that Super Bowl in that game. He looked bad in that Super Bowl. He looked great in that one against Arizona. He came up better and redeemed himself. He was okay against Green Bay in the Super Bowl. Yeah, Brady did beat Pittsburgh. They missed a lot of them years. Yep. The only reason why the Super Bowl was close though is because some of Aaron Rodgers' couple of his passes got dropped because they was cooking the Steelers secondary. The game shouldn't have been that close. Most cats don't because he was pretentious and bougie, stuck up and pompous. Most cats don't. That's he just turns a lot of people off. I think he just underachieved. That's why I don't like about him. I'm not gonna get into the other stuff, but I just think the cat didn't underachieve. Could have been a lot better. Should have had a better resume too. He just was rude to a lot of people. He used to put teammates under the bus and badmouth people and just I just don't like him, that's all. So that's not a surprise. Hard to say because he had the talent, but he just was inconsistent. I mean, he was basically like a double Junior Whopper broke version of Brett Favre. He was a slinger. Should have, but again, sometimes he went against the certain teams and they just had him pegged out, and he'd be his own worst enemy. Who's gonna sponsor him? You know, you gotta have somebody that's gonna put a word in for you. I don't know. There's a reasons why some of these cats don't get no jobs. So just telling you, there's a lot more to go on. Yeah, the clock is ticking on him. It's ticking on him. It's ticking on him. It's ticking on Burrows. It's ticking on Josh Allen too. The cats start to get old. You understand? You can push 30, and you got to sit there and watch one man rack up. It starts to tick on you. He's gonna get it because the team is in. Went to a AFC Championship game. But I'd do him a year to year. I wouldn't do him like that. I would say that, hey, you got a guy's the league MVP. You done gone to all these playoff games. You got to either get it done or not. I just think there's somewhere on the lines they're settling, and I got a problem with it. So that's how I look at it. Oh yeah, they want to lock him up. I mean, he's a good quarterback, so you do that. Now they just gotta see that how they can figure to get past the second round. How can they be a deep contending team? That's what they got to work on. So he just got to avoid turnovers, and they got to play up against legit teams. He can figure out how to add a couple things to his repertoire. Lafleur got to figure out how to structure his team when it comes big games. Because you're gonna be right there in the middle of everybody. Oh yeah, great to see you, Tom. Appreciate you as always. Thank you. Thank you. Oh yeah, well the Eagles, if they want to build a dynasty, they can definitely piece up the time. That's right. Much respect for coming through with a very much needed message. Yeah, if the Eagles want to build a dynasty, they sign everybody up. I think they learned their lesson, but they've been to two Super Bowls with Jalen Hurts, so so I think they learned their lesson. So we'll see. I think they got a good squad. He ain't waiting too long. He trying to see if he can get some offers. He's trying to buy some time. It's not that he's waiting too long. He's trying to buy time. He don't really know what to do because this is a very odd situation because you got a quarterback who's a veteran now, 10 years. You ain't had no real results to what you like, but the market sucks. So what we gonna do? And Micah, who they tried to make out to be the second coming of Lawrence Taylor, which he ain't. They yeah. Oh, you don't know? Huh. You don't know, huh? Cats is up for block, yo. They don't have nothing. I ain't stutter. They don't have nothing. They're not a championship team. So yeah, if they could get something for Parsons, but what you're gonna get in return, and what is it gonna do for you? I mean, he ain't stupid. He knows that Washington and Philadelphia are better than Dallas on paper. So you're already in third place right there. Then whoever comes out the NFC South, whoever comes out the NFC West, and the North, that's three more teams. So guess what? There's 5 or 6 teams that's got you beat off the word jump. So, you know, so yeah, nobody wants Dak though. But he could go to somewhere like a Pittsburgh. That could be a potential shooter. let's not get carried away. Let's not get carried away. He's only good, and I gotta give it to Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp said it best. Yeah, if they can force the issue with turnovers and scoops and picks and moves, he's great. But if you make him play 4 quarters of football where he ain't effective like that, there's not much there to his game. He's not as dominant. I don't like it when people compare people that you got to understand how tough that is. Well, Vaughn was picked up because he came after the Rams, and they thought they were close to winning before he got hurt against Detroit a couple years ago. So that made sense if he was healthy and Matt Milano and all of them were playing. That made sense. Parsons also's got PR issues. He gets on that podcast. He talked too much. You do know that there's more than just the game itself. Why they won't touch you? Yeah, he was underrated because he was a lot quicker and faster than people give him credit for. Bruce could hit you on that out, but well, you have time to think. Parsons tends to run his mouth a bit. Them fight folks ain't gonna touch that. He gets on that podcast. He start talking. What's up? That's what gets him in trouble. What's happening? How you doing? It ain't always all on the field why they don't touch you. It's also because of your PR, your reputation. And Micah got a bad rep right now, yo. So, that's your time I got. Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't really pay no mind. Because Micah is one of those cats that is what I call a daydreamer. And you can talk it, but you gotta walk it. Okay? So I'm not really that impressed. I like him, but I don't love his game. I'm not really that impressed. They when they don't beat up on scrub teams and he don't get the scoops, like Shannon Sharp said, scoops, picks. Yeah, if they score 14 points of sacks and scoops and stuff, he looks like the second coming or something. But what I seen him in games when he got stretched out and he got pushed off and he didn't do nothing. He didn't have 4 or 5 years to showcase what he's got. I think that ship didn't sail. Yeah. I still like the brother better though. I just don't like his politics and what he's about. But that's the Bosa you'd want if you could pick one of the two. He didn't really do much for me with the Charger with him and Khalil Mack though. I mean, he had some moments, but he's good. But again, when you're playing in a particular team's defense, doesn't mean it's gonna translate to what you've seen before. So yeah, what's happening? How you doing? Oh yeah, Nick can ball. Appuvia Meadows. How you doing? That's a cool name. Well, I give him his credit. He been living off that hit against Michigan for like what 30 years now. Yeah, he just pillowed a post. I'm not sad. I'm doing good. What's up with you? I'm surprised he still got a career, a job. Because Clowney, wow. Well, you see what happens. One good hit buys you a 20-year career. He's a good example of it. A good hit is like kind of like the Fisher Price runner-up Super Bowl appearance. So all it takes is one memorable play, and people will, it's kind of like Ariel. What's his name? He's with the Red Sox now. Chapman. Remember Aurora Chapman? He's with the Red Sox. He throws 106 miles per hour. And he's with the Yankees. Remember, he throws all hard, but he got the worst zone. He always missing, but because he throw hard, he still got a job. That's all it does. Is in pro sports is so predictable like that because cats that are bust or done, they do something, they'll get 5 year run. No, Clowney was, yeah, man. He wasn't into it. I remember when he was with Seattle too. They didn't had him try for quite a few teams. Yeah, because he was so erratic. That's why. Now he's with Boston, and he got an arm, but it's so inadequate. Because when he's off, he can be bad. He was with Kansas City a year ago. He gonna end up playing for half the teams. See, if a cat could throw 105 miles per hour once upon a time, he'd be good for 20 years. Now they get rid of these cats because it's not all about how hard you throw; it's about your location, your delivery, your presentation. And he, no, no, how? You mean Tracy Chapman? Not no Rory Chapman. If you're talking about Tracy Chapman, I can make a debate there. He was old when he played for us because he was just a one trick pony. Yeah, he had all he had was that heat. That's all he had. All right. I think I got 2 more minutes before I'm gonna go because I'm gonna go in about a few minutes. Are you back on tomorrow or Sunday? Let me know. Yeah, but the problem is a lot of these guys who throw hard, but they ain't got. You gotta have location. You ask yourself, would you rather have a hard throwing pitcher, or would you want someone like Jamie Moyer, who hits location, or Tim Wakefield, who hits location? Tigers look good. That AL Central is the best division in the American League. I always say that. Okay, I probably could. Then I'll probably come back tomorrow. Then I'm taking one the next 2 days also. I got to work on some videos that I want to put up for future stuff and some stuff. Just getting out and about. Yeah, the AL Central is very competitive. You got Detroit, Minnesota, Cleveland. Those are legit teams. I don't think there's another division in the American League that's touching that. And Detroit and Minnesota are always one of those teams that they're good every 3 or 4 years. One they like trade off. If Cleveland doesn't run it, they've been on for like a couple hours. Today. It's been great. Had some good supporters coming through today. 75% says that that's pretty good. OKC and share special, so I like that. Sure, we'll be back on. There'll be other things to talk about this weekend. So appreciate everyone that came through today. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. All right, I think I'm gonna call it day. We did 2.5 plus hours. Appreciate when they came through, and look forward to seeing you at Personal Time this weekend. So comment, hit the likes, keep on sharing. Appreciate it when they came through, and have a great day. And if I don't see no more, have a great weekend. But I'll be back on Private tomorrow or Sunday. So